1.49 to 2.45, of course, favoring the likes of ESPADA here. I still think that's a really good price, though, for Crazy, actually, 2.49. Just a good opportunity there to make a little bit of cash money if you're up for it over on loot.bet, because they're looking for that sweet little upset win. That's it. Let's see how this pistol plays out, and it's Dexter. Oh boy, look at him go. 1, 2, 3. Left, right, good night. He finds them all. Patsy stealing away what seems to be the final kill, as he makes that look so simple. I was not ready for that one. Dexter lines up all 3 frags. ESPADA starting off with a bang. How do you recover from that if you're crazy? There's no wall break back into that pistol round from there, is that? Their entire B-site take is cracked by one man at a USB. Just a man on a mission. That said, now we're going to see Crazy opt for no force, none of those shenanigans, no bomb plant, of course, so no reason to force either. They're just going to take the standard approach, which is basically spend absolutely nothing. Just trying to do the best of what they can with a bunch of P250s at most. Might actually find something towards connector here if they're lucky. It's going to be just a matter of timing. The other alternative is they just walk into Dexter, and something tells me he's going to have a fun time cleaning them up, especially with that orc at range. The only potential scenario here that favors Crazy is if they can swarm him with those pistols coming from both sides. Make him focus on inner so that push comes through from the outside, but unfortunately just peeking one by one, not really the play we want to see, and this is where we start to see those pistols just drop like flies. No real playing opportunity now. Sensi sneaks in a quick 1D, but I imagine that would be all. Father getting a nice little 2-0 here. No real opportunity, of course, to save a gun. It is just a case of do as much damage as he physically can, but that 2-0 guaranteed death for the ESPADA side. This is what we're looking towards now, though. It will be that full way coming through from Crazy, and our first real chance to see what they're made of on their teaser. What is the meat of their terrorist side here? Opting for 4 AKs and a Krieg. Not too often you see the Krieg nowadays. Oh, Molotov's actually been throwing from both sides there. The incendiary coming out. Deep fountain, just trying to block the likes of Patsy. We're going to do too much here, but he still gets away with it. Picks the duel up against Sergis. Likewise, we saw some flames thrown towards B short as well. It didn't stop Crazy from taking full control, though. Unfortunately, despite having full B short control, nothing more has come from it. That is a gorgeous frag grenade, point blank accuracy. All the ESPADA side. That leaves just Psycho, last man standing towards the site itself. He'll be taken down by a quick duel from Finnegan. And now there is only 2, and they're coming one by one. And well, folks, let me tell you, playing Counter-Strike where you're pushing one by one is just not the way to play good CS. Even with Sensei finding a couple of good duels here and there, trying to make this one a little bit more doable, it's going to be bloody tough. He does find the frag on Patsy, though. That is pretty huge. Dexter going to hear him running as well. This could well put an end to things. Waits for him to cross and shoots him in the back. The worst way to die. At least want your opponent to look you in the eye as he puts a bullet in the back of your head. That said, it may well be a costly round for ESPADA. They lose all but one player, but they also win the round. They're still 3-0 up on their CT side, and we said this going into this, that we wanted them to start strong here. If you recall back to looking at our first map of the day, that best of one of the things that my wonderful co-caster Dweg mentioned was that from what he's seen of the ESPADA side, and this also applied to Fate as well, both these teams were a little bit kind of a slow starter. They took a little bit of time sometimes in these mornings to really get going. Perhaps we're seeing a little bit of that from ESPADA now, who look like a bit of a different force to be reckoned with here on Overpass so far. Only 3 rounds of very early days, but so far, impressive. The aggression comes through yet again as well. It works out wonders. Dima peeking out. Job done so far. The rifle's starting to clean up those pistols. They do get a little bit of damage through. 2 kills in total, but for the most part, relatively clean. Everyone swaps out for the right gun, so we are going to see AKM4 and auto cavalry through. So still a very good situation for ESPADA to be in. If they start perfectly, 4 rounds back to back, no real contest coming through from Crazy. As a quick pause is called. And I imagine this one is of a slightly more technical nature. Clearly an issue on the Crazy side of things, as we've lost one of our players. So hopefully he can get himself all set up and we can get things back underway relatively soon. That said, there really isn't much to break down here. It's been the perfect start for ESPADA, as we've talked about. Dexter starting off with a bang as well, 7-2 right now. Patsy as well, though, just a very simple performance, 7-1. Is pretty impeccable. Unfortunately for Crazy, no one quite having that same impact. Worth noting, of course, that this is ESPADA's map pick for those of you who joined us just after we talked through that veto. So no real surprise that ESPADA are doing their bits here. I do think, though, that this is the map that Crazy want to find if they're looking for that potential of a 2-0. Rain's a bit of a tough one for both teams. Hard to make a prediction on that, but for me, Nuke does sit towards the camp of Crazy. That's where I'd expect them to find a map at minimum, so could well be that 2-0 if they're able to step up here, but they are going to need a fair bit of rounds on their T side. It's a bit like that first best of one that we saw earlier today, where if you just get absolutely lambasted in that first half, if you're able to achieve absolutely nothing, sometimes you're just too far gone. You just can't recover from it, no matter how good your second half is. And that's a challenge for Crazy now, is you've had not the greatest of starts. You've lost 4 rounds back to back. They've all been relatively solid. Only 1 round that wasn't really clean. They need to make this next buy round stick, and that's why we're seeing the pause here as well. Clearly, there is some form of issue that's affecting them, so they've called the pause before this buy. Hopefully, we can get it resolved, and then we can jump back into the action when they've got 5 players. They're fully focused, and most importantly, they're on that buy round. So they need to make this stick. They really understand the value of this round for them, because lose this, you're looking at 5-6-0. Next buy doesn't go your way, and it just goes from bad to worse. So you see how quickly, folks, this spirals out of control and becomes something very dangerous here for the Crazy side. That said, just trying to look to see if I got any information on what the problem may well be. Potentially something networking related, but just a shot in the dark. In the meantime, folks, we will have to just sit tight, wait patiently. Hopefully we can get ourselves underway relatively soon. That's interesting. You see ESPADA just getting themselves set up here, shuffling that weaponry around. Of course, making sure that Dexter, he's got the AWP, he's ready and waiting. They've got all the rifles, the full utility as well. I mean, really, this is a CT side with just full trimmings. That best case Sunday roast. I do wonder, though, what the issue may be. If it is something networking related, that could be problematic if it's not an easy solve. Hear lots of chit-chat coming back and forth, and, well, I have just had a message from my carrier pigeon. Let's see if he's got any interesting information for me. It looks like it is a networking issue for Sensei after all. Hopefully he can get that resolved. It looks like he's experiencing some loss, so important that gets wrapped up. Obviously, playing with loss in a game like Counter-Strike is just absolutely brutal. One of the big things that will happen with loss is that you'll take a peek and you'll be dead before you even see anyone, because it's just what you see and what you feel in the game. It doesn't just quite, it doesn't feel right. That is definitely a key problem for them. I do wonder what the situation would be, though, if he is unable to continue. Obviously, he's not going to want to play with loss, so That does beg the question, what's the alternative here for the crazy lineup? Such unfortunate timing too for Crazy, just right on the cusp of a key gun round for them. They wanted this one to go off without a hitch. Thankfully, they were able to get the pause in just within the nick of time. But still, this is always going to have an effect on you as a team. Just having to basically pause the game halfway through and take an extended break. You just kind of lose that feeling of being warm, kind of being in the zone. It'd be very difficult in those scenarios to kind of refine that focus. Likewise, though, that will be a problem for ESPADA too, except it's slightly easier because on their side, they'll get to sit there and know, okay, look, we've done a job so far. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, play our own game, and they really have a little bit easier time when it comes to the mental game because they know they've not got any problems on their side. So all they can do is basically use this as one big extended tactical pause to talk about what they've learned so far in these first couple of rounds, as well as maybe expand on the types of things they're looking to try in the later stages of this game as well. So this is beneficial for ESPADA to a certain extent. Obviously, they prefer to be playing. That's always better for the game to be playing, but at least they'll be able to make the best of it. Unfortunately, no further news regarding the Sensei situation. Obviously critical, as we said, that he doesn't play with that loss, so it's going to be important to figure out what the options are there. Everyone starts to figure it out. You can hear all that chit-chat happening in server, all those little kind of little pings you hear. It's basically a player from one of these teams chatting in-game. We just can't see it because we've obviously got our wonderful HUD up on screen. That at least gives us an indication that clearly there's some level of discussion ongoing, and I'm sure it might be ESPADA saying, look, we just want to get this underway. Can we just get playing? I certainly would want to if I was in their position. Unfortunately, folks, not a huge amount left for me to pull out of my playbook here. Only 4 rounds of Counter-Strike, so we don't have much to really dive deep on. Obviously, a very quick pistol round coming through. That was just Dexter showing his magic, and from there, it's been a fairly cut and dry game for ESPADA so far. This was really the one we wanted to see to get an idea of what Crazy would really be capable of doing. We're still set yet to see even those purchases come through from Crazy. Just very much focused on getting that situation with Sensei resolved or arranging an alternative. Now, I don't know if it's just him getting the losses or if it's a team-wide situation. I don't actually know if Crazy are currently playing from a team house or anything like that. From what we have heard, though, he should be back in the server relatively soon. So that makes me think that it might just be an issue specifically with him. And hopefully we can get that resolved and get back underway. Well, folks, if you're looking to kill some time, I do have a place you can go and get involved in some fun stuff. And most importantly, you can win yourself some of those sexy skins you see on your screen. You can do that, of course, through our wonderful partners over at Hellcase. Always a good time getting involved in some fun. They do have a couple of options to play with as well. Actually, take a look for myself right now. We can see if we can go through it together. Looks like the big one right now is going to be the Spanish Summer. Only a $2 cost to open, with some pretty big rewards up for grabs, including a Glock 18 Bullet Queen, one of the newest skins, and it's pretty damn sexy if I say so myself. That said, we can finally stop worrying about what we have to say and instead worry about what we're going to see. He's back in server. It's all lined up. We get to see this crucial gun round finally start to take hold. Crazy needs something to stick here. If it doesn't, we at least need to see some level of improvement, something a bit more positive than the one-sided rounds we've seen so far. And it looks like we're going to see Dexter actually use that AWP to really try and get aggressive here, and this could work wonderfully. The swing comes through. Beautiful peek. Now they're going to start to pressure towards top con, I'd imagine. Little do they know, ESPADA are also set up for this peak as well. The AWP comes through. There's the duel, and this just looks absolutely perfect. You really don't get much better than this. It's just a class act of Counter-Strike. I wonder what you really can do here if you're crazy right now. What are your options? Obviously, the upside is they still have that bomb. So they can choose to ultimately go wherever they want to go. Fortunately, things only get from bad to worse. With Finnegan finding that frag, we're basically looking at a 5-on-2. I don't really see any win condition here for ESPADA. And ultimately, that's 5 rounds now in play. If they lose both of these guns, it's going to be devastating. And, well, they're Psycho falling, leaving just Sergis. It's really, it couldn't be any worse. I don't know if he's going to get a kill here at all. He won't. That's a disaster. Not a single frag coming through from Crazy in that round. Just straight execution from ESPADA. That's 5 rounds on the board. And another one where Crazy now just going to be on, at best, some pistols and maybe a shotgun or two. Do like the molly at least, up the rush, make sure they don't just farm up with the SMGs. Flashbang follow is pretty good as well. It does make life a little bit harder for that AWP to try and find a pick here. Loving the flashbang setup actually, just ensures Zemo can get full information on what that Tech 9 is up to as Dexter just has to hold for this push. He does a great job of doing just that. Going for the no-scope, in fact. Finnegan, I'm sure, just goes over, grabs the AWP, or his teammate, in fact, will. And it's just another round adding to the tally of ESPADA at this point. 6-0 on the CT side. Absolutely impeccable. This is another critical gun round at this point. Lose this, and Crazy are pretty much already out the half. See what have they got to work with. That's fairly standard. 4 AKs, full AWP, full utility. No excuses for Crazy is what it boils down to. They have everything they need to deliver here. I'm loving this from ESPADA as well. That confidence to get aggressive. It's going to give them a lot of information that is going to be a play either towards this party area or towards B, depending on how much Crazy choose to show towards the area of the map, which right now seems to be not very much. They're playing top con and it works wonderfully. Look at that streak of blue coming through. ESPADA just make it look so simple yet again. Sensei and MQQ, last man standing in a 5-on-2. We've seen this before. Exact same scenario. And same outcome too. 7-0. Could this get any better for ESPADA? I'm not sure it could. Of course, the big issue is that they're just being ground out of all of their money. These guys are as poor as they come right now. Which just means for pretty much every other round, it's a freebie for ESPADA to find. You're looking at 8 guaranteed here. Unless something goes seriously wrong, which I might be very surprised if that was the case. Most importantly, if they keep finding the gun rounds, they're looking at least 9 or 10 rounds here, which is just... It's insane. You're thinking on CT side, I want to get 6 rounds. That's kind of what a normal team would be saying to themselves. I want to break 6. They're already at 7, and their opponents have found absolutely nothing. Trying to see if he can cause a few problems here. We'll peek out. Fighting against the 9s. A bit of damage is done, actually, as Sergis find a second kill as well. If Dexter falls, we could be looking at a real round here. Love that Molotov, though. That's going to make it very expensive when they do decide to finally make that push. It's just, I think, going to be too much damage done for Sergis. Great attempt, though. Able to find fitting in the 6 HP, secure the kill as well. With another life, that works out really well for them. It's just unfortunate that this time around, not only did a player get away, but there were reinforcers set up on that site to make sure that it was just an easy trade. Talked about the value of these gun rounds. If there was ever a stock that CR4ZY wanted to cash in on, now will be the time to do just that. They are desperate for something, anything. And that's a good start. Find first blood. Don't let yourself get traded. That's not ideal. Losing that fight bottom con just opens up that presence again for CR4ZY. Allows them to start taking those fights towards the top side with the AWP, if anyone does try to cross out towards A, and ultimately keeps 3 players dedicated towards either the B site or, in the case of Dexter, the fast rotated to B. So problematic for CR4ZY. Looks like Dexter will actually find himself tested here as his teammate actually going to crouch across. I love that. They're aware of the fact that Dexter could be there holding. They just crouch under him and give him no opportunity. Then we see the peek come through. That is an easy kill. A little bit of a mistake there from Sensei. His teammate plays at 200 IQ. If only he was aware, we could have seen both players get across. Meanwhile, Dexter does find himself under pressure in Connector. Takes a very wide peek in the Molotov and gets punished for it. With DemQQ finding a frag as well on Patsy, that opens things up massively so now for this CR4ZY side. Slotpick has to do those, try and block that bomb from crossing to the site with 25 seconds left. There's good potential play to make it happen, but unfortunately for him, the nade doesn't quite connect the way he was hoping for. The shots don't come through either. In the end, it will be his gravestone getting carved. As CR4ZY claim their first, and about damn time soon. The question now becomes, though, can they keep it going? That's what matters. I want to make sure they don't find themselves left with a crippled economy and a singular round. They need to keep this rolling and ideally get to 4 or 5 ASAP. Dexter starting to canvas some more opportunities, this time opting to play closer to the site rather than playing it aggressive in Connector. I like this, just changing it up a little bit. I do wonder, though, if he'll have the same level of impact that he's had previously. It looks like playing top con he would, but he's getting a little too aggressive towards toilets, and that could be an area of weakness for him. He, in fact, has let someone get out because he decided where to go for the 2 seconds. Does hold the peak, though, and that's where he comes up for success. Ooh, Patsy. This man is a cat. He's got 9 lives. And somehow doesn't need to use a single one of them. Gets free reign as he peeks into the scope of an AWP, kills the bomb planter, or what would be the bomb planter, and then ducks away again. It's absolutely ridiculous. ESPADA making this one look easy as they cut through their opponents, leaving just Sensei last man standing. This is pretty damn rough at this point. Sensei just trying to save the AWP, if anything. Not going to happen. And you can see the impact here for CR4ZY now. Any money they had saved will have to be spent for the buy. Any money after that, what's going to be a guaranteed eco. That's for sure. He's spending every final dollar and cent into this one. The only player with money now is Psycho. also going to see Dexter play with a piece of that previous position, trying to use the smoke to his advantage this time. It doesn't quite work out. He'll be eaten alive on the short play and does hand over an orb. So the arms are crazy. You previously wouldn't have had access to one either, so that could prove to be an interesting dynamic for the later stages of the round. Help them maybe find that long pick on A. Thing though is the information has been exchanged here between the ESPADA side, knowing that they are just applying that pressure to the site. So that's where Patsy comes into play now. Pushes up through long, gets the trade frag, forces the 4-on-4, and then immediately retreats. "50 seconds though. They are going to have to start to get a move on pretty soon if they do want to get that bomb planted here, where they've struggled in the past. Now looking at 35 seconds, dare I say they are starting to run out of time here. Like they're going to go at the 30-second mark, it seems. Very tough position to be in, but it is what it is. Sophic catching them QQ on his first part to cross. Second kill coming through as well as he makes it look easy. The last man standing yet again. Nothing he can do either. This could not get any better for ESPADA. It really couldn't. I mean, namely a better half than 10-1. That's obviously not 11-0. (16-5) for Dexter as well. 16-3 for Patsy. Those are two ginormous individual stat lines. Absolutely insane. Of course, this is yet another round now for this crazy side as well, where they're left with kind of just a little bit of everything. They've got the AK in play, also got armor behind their entire team, plus they do have a few scouts and pistols to work with. But this patient play from Crazy hasn't really boded any rewards either for them. They've been very slow, very methodical, and bar one round where arguably a mistake was made from ESPADA, that just hasn't worked. We will be seeing likely another A play come through. That's at least confirmed just by the positions opted for here by this T side. And with 40 seconds left, you'd like to think they start to make their advances sooner rather than later. That push comes through, and it's the second player to check, thankfully. The AWP starts to pick them through as they make the cross happen. Look at that flick from Dexter. I absolutely love it. The trade finally does come through, but this is where Finnegan can then hold them as they try crossing through. Pistol now out as well. The damage is done from Dima. It's MQQ, 32 HP in a dream, and it's not gonna happen. Production, I'm gonna need some help from you here because someone's got to hold me, and I'm all on my own. I can't watch this. This is not safe for work. This is not friendly for our screens. It's 11-1. Absolute brutality. It really is. This could not be any better for the ESPADA side. And on a side note for you folks at home, one thing I really do enjoy about that as well is I think I also generally scared our producer when I said I needed some help there. I'm not sure he realised where I was quite going with that one. Keeping on his toes, I think. That said, another great start here. And yet another buy round for Crazy that's just not gone their way in the early stages. That all peaks out, gets a very early duel. Not only that, damage on towards DemQQ as well. Thought he'd maybe try and do something towards B, but I'd be a little bit disappointed if he did, as it would be just a solo play. And the last thing Crazy need is people trying to be one-man heroes, make solo plays out towards a given site without checking it over and making sure the whole team is bought in on that play. I love the concept behind the molly, but still not really sure what the game plan is here from Crazy. What we do know, though, is that there's been a push through from Batty. This is going to prove to be very helpful, as long as Circus doesn't hear him. Most importantly, we know that Crazy are running out of time. Crucial time too. And there's already that first bit of information. Dima pushing through, finding Sensei. Sophic now on the site. All he's got to do is hold on for 20 seconds as Finnegan looks to come in and do the damage. Now he will fall. Now it's on Sophic to try and hold the site. That doesn't happen. We may well have ourselves a second round here for the teaser after all. Can Patsy save the day? He's going to slip in from behind. Finds one. Goes for the second. Sensei 20 HP in a dream. And he's still standing. The man refuses to bow out. That leaves Dexter on the AWP to try and close it through. Pete comes through. The shot doesn't quite connect. And it ultimately leads to the second round in play now for our T side. Kind of wild though when you look at that money, huh? Crazy, legitimately left with a few $1,000s even after winning the round. They get the full buy together, don't get me wrong, but a lot of that is based on the drops as well. One benefit here for Crazy is they win this round and you're likely going to see a quite dodgy force up here for ESPADA. Just due to the nature of how they've picked up their rounds, they haven't been able to build up huge amounts of bank. So we would be looking at an interesting force up for our final round of the half, if Crazy are able to pick it up. Of course, that is a big what if. I can see that B play come through. This time, not going to be their day. Dima shuts down both. Flash to follow, but doesn't quite pop at the time it needs to. That's where Sensei is able to do the damage with the AWP, but it keeps us honest. Keeps us 3 versus 3. I actually really like this from Crazy. Just back away. They know for a while that P players are going to be there ready and waiting to strike for these sorts of situations. So just back away and they play it safe. I kind of wonder for Dexter, at what point does he go and check long, start peeking around through mid, rather than just being super passive on site? That's the answer. Perhaps he can hear what's coming through. Grabs not only the frag, but most importantly the bomb carrier. And this makes things pretty complex now for Crazy, as they have to try and figure out their way back into this round. Perhaps going to creep around through the smoke, spots yet another frag. Absolute disaster. 12-2. 12-2, folks. What an insane map 1. I wonder if we'll go the full distance, get the 13-2, just for good measure. Just like it could be real at this point. We haven't really seen any success here from Crazy on their T side. It's just been a complete disappointment. No surprise, Crazy. Just gonna lick the stamp, send it towards B site yet again. Play really hasn't worked out for them. But nothing else really left of their playbook, I think, at this point. And Molly just going to slow things down as well. Now, worth noting, Crazy still have a lot of time to work with, but this is kind of the time of the round where they start losing players here and there. And you can already see that starting to take shape with the loss of Voxic as well. We see a lovely peek. I actually thought that would be a tray kill favouring Crazy, but the fact that Sophic's able to come up with that kill as well is more than just the cherry on top. It really talks to the fact it's just not looking good at all here. All Crazy, even with one kill, that's not going to make a difference. It really isn't. Absolutely brutal first half. It really is. I mean, what more is there to say? 13-2, folks. Does it get more lopsided than that in Counter-Strike? There's nothing more intense than that, apart from a full 16-0. Really is. Do have to wonder now. And we're just going to see the pistol win come through from ESPADA, and they start to close this game out already. Look at those odds as well, shifting massively over on Loot.bet. 1.01 for ESPADA, 11.5 for Crazy. I said at the start, I feel like those odds were an absolute steal. To be honest, I still feel like they are now. I still feel like there may be, it's going to be a lot harder, but maybe some potential in the third map here for Crazy. So let's see if they can deliver on the USP pistol round first. So far, not the ideal strategy. They're instead going to be met with 5 terrorists charging them from long. They actually just like split apart. I like this. Go 3 long, 2 mid. Not the greatest of starts. Patsy gets the first kill. Sensei will be there to trade, but ultimately what we want to be seeing is more blue and less orange. Now what we're seeing is orange across the board as Dexter even forces the duel against Psycho, keeping that advantage in play here for ESPADA as that bombs continues to tick away. Obviously, they think they're in a great position. They think they figured out how to play it, but little do they know, there's no time left. I think they could give the retake a good go, but surely he's got no time in hell. Just don't see it happening. Makes it a 1v1 even. I mean, that's still pretty insane, but it's not going to be a round win, Chief. Not today. (14-2). 14-2, folks. Does this game even need a caster? I don't think it does. I think it belongs on some... Just... All I'm saying, this ain't PG-13. It's absolute brutality. It really is. What a game. 14-2. I thought I was signing up for a stellar best of 3 today. We thought this would be crazy really showing up here, but this has been worse than the best of 1 we just witnessed. Completely one-sided stuff. The only difference is... Didn't expect ESPADA to be as on the ball as they have been. What's crazy? Makes sense they've gone for the force up here. They are hanging on by a thread, so important. They do make something work here. Pick, of course, already coming through as we're flying Crazy under pressure. Smoke fades. I wonder, do we see the play come through from long when they play into pillar? Just waiting for that smoke to fade, I'd imagine. Almost a matter of timing, isn't it, in these cases? You see that SMG Dima just wants to... There's the swing. Ooh, love that. Somehow lands the drive-by headshot with the MP9. That starts to open things up now. 35 seconds left. So ESPADA start to look elsewhere. Still towards B, but instead a little bit more towards Monster rather than shorts. That's where Oxix swings out nice and wide. Again, gets 1 more for his troubles, but still guaranteeing ESPADA at least entry to the site itself. But damage is being done, and heavily so. We should be looking at a bomb plant here. But a retake on the table for Crazy as the bomb gets over barrels. Oh my goodness, that is unfortunate. Cirque is going to be there with his Eagle to cause problems as well as he even finished things off. Finds the head of Sophic for his troubles. That went from being a great position, and at least the bomb plant, to nothing at all because that bomb managed to find itself over the barrels and tucked into the corner. That's absolutely disastrous. That said, ESPADA decided, boys, let's just fully send it. Interesting decision given what they have, to be honest, financially, but clearly they just want to close out the game, and they've started strong yet again. Dexter gets the entry pick, right? So if they're able to continually get an entry pick, I can understand why the way they start is what they opt to do. Problem is, though, with a firepower disadvantage like this, you do need to think about kind of what those opportunities are. Fortunately for them, they are just expecting Crazy to make a push against them. That's not really happening. Instead, they're the ones having to take the fights. This could be a blessing. The aggression coming through from Psycho. If he gives himself up here, it could be another kill. Most importantly, another rifle handed over to ESPADA. That's not going to happen. Full information gained. That means full rotations coming through. ESPADA, unless they decide to run down through connector last minute, are pretty much walking into a full surprise play here over on the A site. Only 5 seconds. They're going to have to get a move on and really pull the trigger on this soon. That's where Crazy do tend to struggle a little bit sometimes, is kind of getting in these last minute tight scenarios, being able to deliver in a moment of need. So far, so good though. It's DMQQ and Surges to step up. Those pistols get dealt with. Does take down Dima, so creates a 1v2. I don't imagine he'll be able to do much more, and there you have it. Sensei finishes them off. It will be just another round tallied up for the CT side as they continue once more to hang on. Of course, folks, the million-dollar question here. Now, what would ultimately make you a very rich man if you were to go and get involved in some of that hell case and loot bet action? Is, can Crazy bring it back? 10 rounds is what they'd be required just to tie things up without giving over map point to ESPADA. That's a significant ask. 10 rounds back-to-back, it really is. Now, just pistols here, so it should be relatively easy to dispatch of, and they do a pretty good job. Circus lining up all 3, eventually going to be traded. Now just a question of, can Dima maybe upgrade to a door? And again, it's about putting yourself in the mind of Crazy, just looking to do some damage here wherever possible. Well, that is somewhat hilarious. They've been able to sneak in a bomb plant. Just gives them a little bit of extra value, I suppose, for those future rounds. I wonder if they'll actually be able to do something with these clocks and deagles. Oh, there's the answer. Not going to happen. Optic just quickly cleaned up. And it will be a 5th in play for Crazy. And what matters here, though, is the round we're about to see. That's going to be the full buy coming in from ESPADA. And this is why we've been so patient, just waiting with these pistols, letting them kind of make these mistakes as it's all preparation towards this moment. One thing I would like to do is place you all kind of just in a bit of a imaginary world for a second here. Can you imagine being ESPADA and struggling to close this game out? It has to be infuriating. Two rounds, all they need is 7 kills. Again, really solid opening picks though. And this time around, MQQ not going to be there to save the day. He's only good for 1. Unlike previous rounds where he's the man finding 3. Instead, I think that just marks the beginning of the end here for Crazy. After all, a very quick and easy clean up towards the B site. That just leaves Sensei and Sergis just to really think about what it is they can try to do to not only carry those weapons forward, but most importantly find the best use out of them in the next round. Of course, folks, this will be the first map point of this series. It does start to create that chance of a quick 2-0 here for ESPADA, which would be the expected result. That is what, if we were in a normal world, everyone would assume that this is an ESPADA result. Looking back to see if these guys have played much in the past. Looks like only once, a couple months ago, in Winners League. They played on Train, it was 16-11 to ESPADA. So again, no real surprise to see that, to be honest. See though, folks, can they close this one out here? Full buy on full buy. What a way to try and end it, going for the complete boost. No one there to find, and in fact, we don't quite get to see it because of the angle, but Crazy are actually ready and waiting for that. They are watching for it, and they respond to it immediately. That is pretty ridiculous. Psycho in a good position as well, actually, should they choose to push short. Very, very tough to find a headshot here as the push comes through. Typically that means that whoever's up there can do a fair bit of damage. Monster kill comes through, that short position nullified is... Actually for them, Pillar's been completely overwrapped with good Molotovs and smokes coming towards short. They have bigger fish now to fry. Look at Nima go, this man just wants to end it right here. Unfortunately for him, just tries a little too hard. Gives up both kills. 2 versus 4 now. Sopvik falling as well. Pretty much seals the deal. Crazy will get a 6th. I don't see Finnegan going for a 1v4 anytime soon. Fair play though. He's going to give it a good go. He's got the bomb on his back, but with the AWP holding the angle, all he has to do is tap mouse one, and it's game over, and that's what will happen. So... easy as pie. Crazy move up to 6 rounds. ESPADA still don't have much in the bank here, so they're going to have to accept defeat, to be honest, and just play with the scraps that they have. I do wonder if Sopvik can do much with the AK. And perhaps with Kevlar and Vinegar, if he can find a kill. That's 2 rifles. Loving that pre-nade. Slows down things just a little bit. It's not crazy to take an entire defense here just a tad more seriously. I wonder if those P250s will be able to sneak in any more damage though, let alone a round win. And you can actually see the aggression from Crazy just to make sure they do get it done. Also how they're looking for a gun, but nothing of him to find. They'll wonder if those pistols, if they do burst through, might just be able to catch them by surprise here, especially with this boost actually going over. There's the faded. Headshot angle found, but Psycho 2 down quick on the trigger. Finds the kill he needs, and the position of all 3 players. I don't really see a way in here now. That's all for ESPADA. They'll just have to accept defeat. And that'll be that. Still 15-7. Still hard stuck at 15. Surprised we actually haven't seen a pause come through yet from ESPADA, where they've just gone, alright boys, let's just take a pause here, calm down, we just need to find 1 round. 1 player needs to go huge, 2 players need to find a double kill, whatever it may be, and through this. It's actually much of the same here when it comes to the hold from Crazy as well, just taking the jewels in towards Connor, and likewise towards this Visa, being super passive about your play, using nades to push them back. For Dexter, missing that shot pretty much just seals the deal for his grave. Imagine for Finnegan's as well. This has to get progressively more infuriating. You just don't want to be in a position where you just can't do anything. Well, that's actually pretty cheeky. Finally, Psycho does create a 1v2, which isn't impossible. It is 2 1v1s. I wonder if Finnegan has a real go at this. 30 seconds to work with. Still just a 1 versus 1 for him on the site itself. Could get a free plant, in fact. The molly down tool was short. There's nothing to do to defend against it. He's just going to go straight. He tries to fake it out, but don't really see a reason to. That's unfortunate, though. Just tries to plant in the smoke and not only just get railed down by bullets through it, but also 1 shot, 1 kill, or straight through the smoke gets it done as well. That's really unfortunate.
Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win.
Surely we get to see a proper save here from ESPADA now. No more wild force buys or anything too insane. We just get to see a proper save. And then we go on to a full gun round where they can then try and close it out then. Surely that has to be the play, rather than a lot of these just like deagle plays and whatnot. Like where they're forcing it with 2 SMGs. I'm just not sure I dig it. It hasn't really worked out for them. Gonna lift the stamp and send it again towards the site. Oxit trying to get in position with the M4, but there's absolutely nothing. The MQQ will chime back in at least, but unfortunately just trades galore. That's all that matters. ESPADA coming out well and truly ahead here. This may well have paid off. They might finally have enough to get this map done. We're on a 4-on-2 now. Zerkis comes in from behind, takes down Finnegan, starts to open up opportunities, but that bomb is ticking pretty quickly, so they want to make this 2v2 work. They're going to have to pick up the pace, get those legs moving, start really trying to force those kills on the site. Sensei still trying to carve that one out from the CT side, but he doesn't know where both of them are. He's just going to try and flick and find it. There's the first, looks for the second, sees him, but has he got enough time? Here's going to be the answer. It is no. Dima, left, right, good night. Finds both the kills to get it over the line. It took a bloody while in the end. ESPADA felt like they had that one done for the last 4 or 5 rounds, to be honest. It just took them time to get over the last hurdle and ensure they got that coveted 16 rounds. And from there, that is the conclusion of map 1. Let's take a look at some of these sexy stats that our producer has put together for us. And a direct comparison, in fact, between Dexter and Sensei, the 2 key players here from both teams. And no surprise to see Dexter leading the way with 1.69 on a KD ratio and 27 frags. He was the lifeblood of this team, and he continues to be the wrecking ball for this ESPADA side. What a game. Now we beg the question, map number 2. What's going to happen there? Is it going to be that 2-0? Is Nuke going to be the surpriser? A map where all is to play for Crazy. We thought that could be a good map for them. Obviously, 62% win rate. They've played it 16 times. It is their best map in competitive Counter-Strike as a team. Can they bring the heat? Can they bring the fight in map 2? We're going to find out, folks, after a very short commercial break. Do not go anywhere. Grab your popcorn. It may well be 12 a.m. in the middle of the day, but it's time for popcorn. It's time for some bloody Counter-Strike here at Malta Vibes Week 8. Welcome back, folks, to more Malta Vibes action. We're here, of course, in week 8, and we're halfway through a thriller of a best of 3 so far. Of course, we are looking at CR4ZY versus ESPADA. We've just seen map 1 unfold. That was Overpass, and, well, I say it was a thriller because it caught us all by surprise. It was 13-2 in the first half. We did see a little bit of a resurgence from CR4ZY towards the tail end of things, but ultimately it wasn't quite enough. ESPADA took them down 16-8 on Overpass, and now we are heading to our second map. It is going to be Nuke, and this is where things get even more dicey, because it could go either way. For me, I put my ball firmly in the court of CR4ZY here. This is their map to find. They are by far the stronger team on it, on paper. But after a dominant performance like that on map 1, you have to beg the question, are they actually going to be in the server? Are they actually going to be feeling and playing together? I think that's the big question. So it will start with our knife round. I think that's fair to say. I want to understand, are they going to be able to start on their CT side, or are they going to get battered on their T side early on by a well put together ESPADA side? And well, ESPADA's track record, they do love a cheeky knife round win. And it looks like they're going to do just that as well. Maybe a premonition of what's to come. And I would assume they'll stay on that CT side as well. I highly doubt they'll do a swap here. And we should be able to get immediately into the action right after this. So we're all about speed and efficiency today. And that may well be ESPADA's narrative here too. Ideally looking for that 2-0, of course. They get another 12-3, can you imagine? That would be perfect. Of course, talking of the best of 3 so far, there's no better way to measure how best of 3 is going than taking a look at our wonderful loot bet partner odds. You can see them live, folks. You can get involved in the action. Of course, 1.61 to 2.18. A slight edge, of course, still towards ESPADA, but very close overall. Of course, do let us know if you get involved. Join us on social media. All the handles you can be found kind of here, there, around the stream. I think they're in the Twitch chat as well as below as well. So do get involved in social media. I'm sure we'd like to see what you guys are getting up to with our wonderful partners. With that said, let's get this show underway. ESPADA already under pressure here as Sopvik tries to hold on towards the vent. He knows what's coming. Knife is out. Oh my goodness. A knife kill has happened in round number 1, dropping the bomb into the vent as well. What am I witnessing? This is absolute destruction. CR4ZY will at least get the bomb back, creating the 2-on-2. But seriously, I just saw a knife kill in the pistol round. I am absolutely dumbfounded. CR4ZY's trying to save the day. He does manage to grab that bomb. Dexter dangerously close to finding him there, but actually decides to waltz on away. Leaves him to fight the remainder of the round here. He's going to get back into vent and ideally head up towards A, I would imagine. Try and join his teammate. Psycho here, just trying to clear out sight, watching painfully towards heaven as well. Looks for the headshot, and he finds it. That leaves Finnegan last man standing. And what a heartbreaking round right now for ESPADA. If they lose this, they're going to be absolutely gutted. They really will be. You can't even tell that Dexter's still alive. He's so low HP that the HUD basically doesn't even recognize his existence anymore. They're stuck on 2 HP. Let's see if they can maybe do something with it. Finnegan needs to lead the charge here. Taking the contact duel in, finds the first. I didn't quite spot him in door. That's unfortunate. They do sacrifice, though, Dexter, who is the sacrificial lamb here. Pete comes through. Finnegan, you absolute beast. Man loves a headshot, doesn't he? He really does. There's going to be a long defuse, but he's going to make it stick. And again, it all started with a stab in the back in vent. If there was ever a time that I wanted to replay, that would be the moment I want to see. Just I want that etched in my mind. There we go. MVP producer right here, folks. Look at that moment. Knife in the back, straight in vent. I mean, that is just... I've got nothing left. That is ridiculous. And the bomb as well. It makes it even harsher. It's one thing to lose a player early on like that, but the bomb as well getting dropped in the vent changes the whole dynamic of the round. I will say, though, they did an excellent job trying to recover that and ultimately getting the bomb down. Wonderfully played. Just unfortunate that Finnegan is just a complete beast and was able to make it stick. That said, CR4ZY with the running 2 taps. Finds 1 and 2. Sensei on a 3rd. I don't think this is going to be an ESPADA show at all. They're CR4ZY doing a wonderful job on the secret take. ESPADA's weaponry has done nothing at all for them here. Those 2 AKs have absolutely devoured them. That's pretty rough. Even the frag grenade not going to be able to finish him off. They're going to try and chase him down, I'd imagine, but I don't know if he'll quite get away with it. There's the nade. Oh, we're so close. Clearly needs to work on his basketball skills. You can see him, but just not quite going to be the kill. I wonder how aggressive he chooses to be now. Obviously, I think realizing that this is a lost round. It's a question of, is there money to be made with this SMG or not? And well, it looks like he decides to try and group up with his teammate. And on the way, gets taken down. Now it's just Dima going to try and pitch a tent over on his forklift, and he should actually be able to get away with this. It looks like Crazy aren't planning on being too wild with their hunting here, so they will at least let him save that org. Really solid round there, though, from Crazy, especially from Surges. He runs out and basically gets a 2-tap on the cross towards Secret, looking very crispy with that AK. Interesting response actually here from ESPADA as well, deciding because of the saved org to completely force up into this. Still seeing a bit of weaponry getting caught up on the HUD there, but it looks like a lot of those players don't even have dropped weapons. It is just upgraded pistols behind a lot of those folks. I do see the SMG on Finnegan and that rifle saved on Dima, but I was hoping maybe something was dropped or something like that, but no, literally just some deagles. Great use of the frag grenade to find the key player of Crazy. The Zerg is falling, and maybe giving a rifle up to the ESPADA side, if they can get to it. That is the big question, of course, if they can get there. We're just trying to spot towards outside, get an idea of what's going on. It's the one thing for ESPADA right now is they may have got a frag advantage here, but they're still outgunned with raw firepower. And most importantly, they have zero information of what's to come. That smoke may well be a bit of a giveaway and damage attempted with the org, but nothing comes from it. Texter does respond with an eagle to at least keep numbers even, if not favouring ESPADA now, but still, if that site gets taken, you have to be worried here because the firepower is just so heavily swayed towards this Crazy side. Yeah, Molly might have just sealed the deal with the bomb going down now. Surely you can't retake here. I'm going to try prove me wrong and see what they can make of it. SMG picked up as Finnegan and Co tries to make it work from door on the upper side of ramp and to clear things through. They don't check for Finnegan, though. That's going to be a huge problem for them. As a result, 2 very quick and easy kills. Sopvik can't quite do it all. He's not a Swiss Army knife. He's not a one-man army. It does become a second round for the Crazy side on their T side. Has to be said, really enjoying what I'm seeing here from Crazy on T-side nuke so far. The first couple of rounds have been very decisive and much more controlled than what we saw on the previous map. Clearly a game plan, I think, is the best way to summarize it. That said, just flat USPs in play this time around. Nothing too wild for them to worry about. They've actually somehow all managed to get into Secret, which is a little bit unheard of. Wonder if they'll be able to do some damage here, maybe surprise someone with a pistol or two. Grabbing an AK in this round would be pretty much like Christmas coming early. Not today. 4, make that 5. Very swift pickings. Crazy up to 3 rounds with little to no complaints so far. This is the one we want to see now, though. This will give us a benchmark of what ESPADA are really made of when it comes to the CT side. We've got some very strong starts here from Crazy, and I really want to get an understanding sooner rather than later on, is this actually a very solid Crazy performance, or are they just having a couple of good early rounds? It'll be good to get an idea of just how they stack up against ESPADA CT side. We're going to see the very aggressive play, in fact. Lots of damage being done through the side of the event, but No kills coming through. Good start though. Patsy will get one for his troubles. Quickly trade it back. In the end, it still will be the control favoring the CT side. Damage done to Sensei and Toxic as well. There's a very forward position here being held by Toxic, and he could really throw a wrench in the works if they don't check for him. And don't do just that. Another kill in the bag. And the problem there is it creates a 2-on-3, which is a much more favourable situation. Is now they can't just throw numbers at crazy and overwhelm them. They have to be a little bit more tactical about the way they want to retake this. Benefit of that Mach 10 being in play should really help them, but they're running out of time. And that's that. They're all out of time. There's nothing left on the clock. Thankfully, no one will die to the bomb, but it will become another T round. ESPADA failing the retake there. You have to start asking the question, when is that pause going to come through? This has been a really rough start to the show here for ESPADA. Now, thanks to the save, they have the weaponry to work with. Still that singular SMG in play on Dima, but rifles elsewhere. And it's a speed of crazy that I feel is really catching ESPADA off guard. Loving that frag grenade though, that should do a lot of early damage. Going to try and pepper some bullets through those smokes, see if they can find up and kill for their troubles. Unfortunately, nothing will come through from it. And instead, Crazy just using this opportunity to really canvas for information, understand the setup that ESPADA are playing, look for any weaknesses potentially towards outside. They could even use this towards another secret to be played, to be honest. They have free reign of secret if they want it. That's exactly what they'll do. The smokes go down just for good measure. Molotov soon to follow, and they get full secret control. We also deal with Patsy's on the cross, but he can't see a thing, and he won't even stick it out. So, yes, he gets a quick frag, but the bomb will be immediately picked up, and they'll be able to still get themselves in towards the bottom end of secret. The bomb plant should look likely, especially when you add that frag into the mix. Sergus finding Patsy is huge. Downside is that Crazy are spending a lot of time here, which means rotations galore. ESPADA now have 2 players set up in crossfire to try and defend the last 14 seconds needed, and it looks like that might not even be necessary. Dexter going to try and do the whole thing himself, it seems. Already finding the first kill and looking for the second, but Sensei giving him absolutely nothing, just backs away swift as anything, realizing that orb is probably a little bit more valuable than his life in this case. Still, 2 rounds the difference. ESPADA yet to really show us great success on their CT side. It's really been Crazy leading the charge here and controlling the pace of this game. Slightly different approach from Crazy this time around. Rather than setting up early on for some form of aggressive fight towards secret or something outside, being a lot more calculated in their approach, just waiting for what seems to be utility to be thrown. They let that fizzle out, then we might see them start to act. Here's that cross, same as last round. They're just going to waltz through Patsy. He has little to no idea what's going on, but you can call there is a risk of cross. That will be just enough information to warrant someone going and just checking it out, making sure they've got it covered off. Unfortunately, because nothing's been confirmed, doesn't mean that there isn't really much crossfire or support in play here for Sopvik. So if he just gets immediately one-tapped, he'd be out for the count, but thankfully it's him dishing out those taps this time. You see the trade starting to fall through though pretty damn quickly, and even Sopvik found himself nip tap before he's even showed any skin at all, and the minute he does, Crazy just absolutely annihilate them. I don't really think there's much Dima Finnegan can do here, to be honest. You're already really looking for your outs, your saves. As we said, ESPADA have just not had a comfortable start to CT at all right now. Only connecting in these 2 rounds so far. The exit kill come through. There we go, Finnegan. Yes, Vine's won, but he takes the bait, and as a result, trades his life. Really could have done with an extra weapon, to be honest. You can see the impact of that on the money. Let's take a look at our friends over at Hellcase, our wonderful partners for Week 8 here. You can use code MALTAV to get some extra credits in your account, and MALTAV15 for a 15% refill bonus. If you do get involved, folks, then remember, tweet at us on social media. Let us know what you won and what you're up to over on Hellcase. There's some bloody good stuff on there, actually. Especially the knife cases. Been a good fan of them. This will definitely sound like a scam, but the first time I actually opened a Hellcase for legit, with my own money, I actually did unbox a random flip knife. Pretty surprising. You get all kinds of things though. P250s, Glocks, just pretty much any skin you can imagine, you'll get it. Definitely a slightly more interactive experience than the standard cases nowadays. Said, Crazy, yet again, another really solid round from them so far. They make ESPADA feel like they have a little bit of skin in the game, feel like a retake is possible, but then the minute it is, they just slap them out of it and say, nope, not today. Leaving Patsy now in this 1v2. He's immediately shut down the minute he shows any sort of resemblance to try. And it becomes a 6th round in play here for Crazy on their T side. This is looking very, very good here. I just wonder how long Crazy keep this going for. Can you imagine that if we do see something like 11-4, 12-3 for Crazy, that could be wild in the second map. A repeat of what we've seen in the first map, just dished out the opposite direction. That does happen sometimes, and a lot of the best of threes, especially at this level that we look at nowadays and we broadcast, you can see very lopsided kind of map 1 and map 2, as far as you can see like a 16-4 in map 1, a 16-6 in map 2, and then map 3 could be a quad overtime game because it's just so close, it's so even. You have to see that map picks really play a big difference at these levels. Yeah, he's trying to make the best of it if he can. He's playing just the support of the scout, of course, so if all the shots land, there could be something there. He's done a pretty good job so far of getting the damage done. It gets face first against the AWP as well. This is ridiculous. Dima now with the AWP goes for the no-scope. That might be a little bit too much flare for my liking. The scope is overrated, but he can just get it done without it. And now Sergey 2v1 finds the first, looks for the second. Patsy will just overwhelm him as they just throw themselves at him and basically assume that one of them will get the kill. That's huge for ESPADA too, because A, it's a round where they desperately needed to have some level of impact. Their money is really rough, so being able to walk away with an AWP is huge. Like, I can't underestimate how huge it is. And then B, from just a scoreline perspective, obviously we don't want to allow a team like Crazy to run away and grab a 13-2 or something as potential dire as that. So halting the momentum early on, making sure they still know you're in the game, and you're still a worthy opponent, is going to be quite critical. At the end of the day, it's only 6-3, so still very much all to play for. like the strategy here from Crazy this time is going to be back to the old classic outside abuse. The smoke comes in right on the top of Patsy. We'll see the smoke soon to follow towards Secret as well as they begin their cross. But Dexter already begins to strike as well. This patient play from Dima. He just sets the trap and then waits. He's like a fisherman, just biding his time, sat there, letting his prey swim around, and then them on the hook right as they don't even see it coming. That said, he started strong, but can he finish strong? 4v2? I think so. Lurgish drops behind Dexter and then finds the kill. That is insane. He's managed to get behind him just based on timing and then secure the frag. That takes us from a 4v2 to one slightly better. Or a 3v2, but that's where Patsy chimes in. Finally starts to get this pushed closer over the line, leaving Sensei last man standing with 3 to find. Now, assuming nothing absolutely insane happens in the next 14 seconds, this will be, of course, that 4th round for our CT side, so things start to get a little bit closer to normality here. But Sensei is actually going to give it a go, isn't he? Of course he is. Finds the frag on top. Vic finds the bomb plant as well. Just as we hoped, though, he does run out of time. Unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Counter-terrorists win.
4 rounds in play. Only 2 the gap now as they really start to bring things back. ESPADA hungry for that 2-0. Crazy have already done a good job, though, of finding value in their T-side, and I do feel like they're still here for the long run. This is going to be a much closer affair than that one, that's for certain. Let's see. Like a bit of a rock and a hard place here, having to try and worry about door as well as his outside push. Dexter will be coming that there's a lot of presence here and he's having to put up a bit of a fight, but thankfully he'll also be coming that he's doing it all himself. That's 2 kills, lock and key. A 3rd follows quick as anything. He's absolutely shutting them down. And another one. Does Dexter want any more? Make it a 5-kill killing spree with the AWP? That is ridiculous. Talk about stepping up at a time of need. Still really surprised we've not seen a pause come through from either side yet, to be honest. Especially even ESPADA are about to tie things up 6-6. You would have thought we might have seen one come through. Either this round or next round. Dexter. Don't tell me he's up to his old tricks again. This time around dealing with the pistols the same way he was bashed with them in the previous round. Supported by his teammates, of course. They do clean them up as they try to make their advantage onto that site. As easy as pie. And ESPADA goes 6-6. And this is where, again, we're really keeping an eagle eye on towards what's going on to the outside of that map here and what Dexter can do. If he's able to really start stepping up and being just a dominant force here, and not only towards outside, but able to rotate around the map and really kind of find his groove, I'm concerned that Crazy may start to struggle a lot more than they have done in the early portions of this half. Dido, the same outside pressure coming through. Flash to follow, but won't blind Dexter from the angle he's chosen to play. Smoke's not going to affect him either, but he did look away from Silo. That does allow someone to get out. Will be just a matter of timing. Looks like they haven't gone for it just yet. Loving the patience here, if anything, from Dexter, just to make sure outside really is as sealed as can be. wonder if he's aware, though, that Secret could be under attack. Looks like he is. Patsy has communicated that back to them, I'm sure, now that the push is coming through. Psycho will at least get the opening entry pick as that B-set becomes a present target. Dima as well is just putting things from bad to worse as Crazy just waltz all over the CT side at this point, leaving only Finnegan remaining. Has to be, surely, an easy one for them to close out, and they do. He grabs a couple of them just as they try to come up the ladder, just trying to be a little bit too simple about the round, but at the end of the day, they still close it out. Keeping the lead, which I think is the most pertinent point here. It's the one thing they've yet to give up on this map. It's always been Crazy in control of the scoreline. Even if it's only by one round, they've always been in control. Again, same play with the outside area. Dexter using that orb to try and carve out early opportunity. Patsy should be communicating that Secret is under pressure once more. They really need to work on Secret, I feel. Their defense there is just... Well, there's two parts to it that they're very poor at. A, stopping people from actually being able to freely cross. Just a good Molotov, a good frag grenade setup can do that already. And then the other big piece of it is just actually having a solid setup on the inner side of Secret, just on the entrance towards B, rather than it being, oh, they took Secret, now they're going to stomp the B side from all angles, and it's easy pickings. So good time a nice peek here, actually. And he does, curves it into ramp. Only one, but good opportunity for a second, but not so sure I dig that peek. It's not thick. He starts to get nice and aggressive, and as a result, immediately loses his life. Patsy will be there to trade, but still think it's too little too late. "35 seconds now for them to make this stick as the bomb starts to be punched in. Those numbers securing the plant here. Dima, let's see if he can shuffle around, do a little bit of something here, but not really going to happen. It will be all on Dexter to get it done. You can see here, what is the game plan going to be? Just wait for him to pick the door? Could be one way for it to work. The nade takes the peek. Oh my goodness. What a way to find the frag. Rather than even being able to force the issue, he just waits on the step. Let's rip with the fire. And perfect round. 8 rounds lock and key. Crazy secure the half. Let's see if I can pull up some crazy statistics here. I'd like to get an idea of just how their strength is in general on their T side. Like they are fairly good at it. They've had a lot of good success, especially on their train boutings. They're really well they do their best work. Evidenced by what we're seeing here, to be honest, it really is. Very aggressive play from ESPADA, met with a very swift response from the team. Love a little nade kill. It does make it a little bit more achievable for 1v2. Double drop in, but he drops into the flames. That's what he's not expecting. Might even get a free kill, though. The good old die due to halftime break. Always a good time. Has to be said, I think Crazy going to be over the moon about that one. 9 rounds T-side nuke. You're going to be very happy being able to pull that off. Look at what they typically do with the remainder of the nuke games. Yeah, you can actually see some really solid previous results here for Crazy, where it talks to their T-side success. Most notably, the ones I'm looking at, folks, for those of you who are interested, it's the Northern result that happened about 5 days ago on the 18th. That was a 9-5-3. It was 19-17 in the end, favouring Crazy. Well, now we have to turn the page. This is chapter 2 of our story. We're on our second map as well, all to play for. ESPADA are on 6 rounds and they're still hungry for that dub here in map 2. In order to achieve it, step 1 is obtain pistol. That could be a key piece in getting this one done. Strategy so far seems to be split in from secret on the front side as well, and it's working out. I mean, we are seeing a couple of trades come back and forth, but overall, it's working. So that could be pretty good. If Dexter can land a second shot, that's unfortunate. Because if you get the second headshot there, that could be a double kill that really just unlocks Vent for them, but unfortunately, he doesn't quite land it. It does mean Crazy still have some presence here. That 2v3. I don't think there's much Crazy can do here in the form of a retake either, hence why they're playing extremely passively. Just going to save the Kevlar and that kit, most importantly. Put it to use in that second round, makes sense. And there you go. No kit even saved. That is unfortunate. Just 2 rounds now, the gap. Still a long road ahead and only a snapshot into what could happen in the second half. There is a lot left to be uncovered. One thing's for sure. Crazy will leave no stone left unturned when it comes to ensuring they get the job done here on their CT side. Let's see what these Eagles are really made of, though. Great Molotov to push them back. That tick will be heard. It'll be fed back to the wider team. Very slow CS here coming through from ESPADA. They don't want to rush this at all. Still so much time to work with, over a minute on the clock. We can really do something there. There's the answer. The eagle in the face. SMG soon to follow. Dexter will be there to trade, but has it already done enough? That's a 2-for-1 with just a bunch of pistols and an SMG. This is where ramp play starts to become a tad more realistic too. If Psycho can block them from even entering ramp, pretty much a done deal. $20 seconds though. 20 seconds. What a time to leave it. Absolute last second. You're giving the Eagles an opportunity now to cause you some problems. Make this one a little more stressful as Patsy left trying to desperately plant the bomb. 8 seconds remain. He's being pushed from both angles now. A scout and an AK in combination. There you go. Psycho just playing to a T. Plays it really nicely, actually. Just waits. Waits for the peak to come through onto his shoulders. I like that. Rather than forcing it and expecting him to have to push the side and get kind of pretty wild about things, he just sits there very patiently and lets the frag come to him. And that goes to show, I think, the comfort overall of this CT side right now. Crazy. Got a really good start in that first half, and they're showing also success in the second half as well. I can't help but get the feeling this is just getting closer and closer to going their way. Obviously 10-7, so anything could happen, but all the signs, they're all pointing towards that ESPADA team right now. First contacts coming through yet again towards ramp. Same old story. They're waiting for the duel to come to them rather than forcing the issue and swinging. I say that, and then that's a bit of a ballsy peak. That's kind of an example of what we don't want to see them do, which is just take very aggro duels for little to no gain. That's, of course, puts a minor advantage in sway of the ESPADA lineup. They do, but a little bit too late, and actually shut the door in the end. Even now, still surely too late. I say that, but Sophic, where are you, buddy? Oh, where are thou? I'm assuming he's on the defuse, so nothing can really do to hold on to this, unfortunately.
Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win.
That is unfortunate. It's a shame we can't see the defuse progress. It would be nice to have an idea kind of where they are at, but at the same time, if something's on the site, maybe there's a chance there that some more damage can be done. His team have done a pretty good job to get it close. If him to be so far gone at that point, it's just kind of unfortunate. He really is. Of course, the ESPADA have little to no money to really invest here either, so they have to play it safe now. Perfect time to call a pause, though. This is what we were referring to earlier on, is just use these pauses to your advantage. They're little breaks. They're little opportunities for you to sit back for a second, just take a breather and go, okay, this is the situation that's affecting us. This is where we're losing people. How can we fix this? And you can work it through as a team. Nice to see them finally come through. One of the big notes that came out of our first best of one, if you joined us for that, you would have seen that there was a very big lack of those pauses, especially in that second half. So nice to see that finally come through here in our best of 3. That said, Sensei this time looking to get aggressive, and he seals the deal very early on. No one expecting an AWP to do that towards Secret. They haven't done it at all yet on that CT side. It works out perfectly. So he can actually try and chase down a free AWP here, and he will actually get away with it, but he won't go and grab it, which is always the interesting bit about Dexter. He gets the gun and leaves it for his teammate. Likely even hungry to find Surges, to be honest. I do wonder what the game plan will be here, given that both teams have a whole minute to work with. It looks like the insight will be the target. Berg is catching Patsy already on the cross. I don't think he's seen Dexter. Dexter has just got away with crouching below. Only by an inch, but he's just got away with it. That's really unfortunate. What a position from Dexter. Very smart. Just tucked in, just far enough back that even the football fanatics can understand where he is. He's just tucked in the corner, ready and waiting, and bam. Easy goal for him, right in the back of the head. Still though, they even sneak in one round. One round with it, whether it's the Eagles, it could be a full buy for ESPADA. Or however they go about winning a single round. Big picture here, doesn't change anything. There's still a decent chunk of a gap here between these two teams. We need to see a little bit more substantial play, to get my words out correctly, from this team side. My concern so far is they just not had the greatest consistency in this second half. Already here losing Sophic early on, a drive-by from that scout. It's just not what you want to see. I think Surges and co starting to understand where the opportunities are for them to get aggressive with those SMGs. I do wonder if these pistols will be able to do anything wild just on the inner side of this hut area. Typically, it's just the case that CZ needs to get the first bullet off. If it does, you're good for 1 kill. Usually the second is not going to happen. That's where you're relying on the trade. You also just see a vent drop here, though. Lots of options for ESPADA. Heck, they could even just contact out on towards the site, which that seems to be the play they're going to opt for. The minute they get contact, they pick up the pace. It works pretty damn well for these pistols. Look at that CZ. Toxic lines up too, but it's Dexter with the AWP to strike back, creates the 1v1. 25 seconds remain. Deagle in hand. He doesn't quite know where to look, and it'll be yet another round for the CT side. That's rough because the CZ has actually done its job. Usually good for one, in fact gets the double kill, but unfortunately the 1v2 is still just too much for him to handle at the end there. And that leads us here, 12-8 now, Crazy. Still managing a gap between the two teams, but ultimately, more importantly, they're in control now of this game. They have an opportunity to really start thinking about how they want to close it through, and when they're starting off rounds consistently like this with early picks, you start to understand why they're in control as well. Nice little bit of damage done with the pistols, but nothing more gonna come from it. Okay. How the hell have you found those kills? That's a big question mark. Sensei 1 HP. We may have a problem on our hands. Sergis could get caught here as well by that warp outside. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a bit of a stuck round here. I don't even think they're going to go for this on the CT side. I think they'll just give them the 9th. Let the gap continue at 3 rounds. That's what it's been for the bulk of this game. They haven't had any problems there, so why risk it now? Just save the AWP and the rifle. Makes sense, to be honest. Still, though, surprising how much the pistols were able to achieve there. Goes to show what the likes of Dexter can do. That's a team effort, though. That's on really that trio of Patsy, Dima, and Sopvik for making that happen. Of course, major benefit for ESPADA through finding that is that the money is being significantly tested for this crazy side. So I'll have to go for something wild to try and make it work. Knowing full well it probably won't, or at least it shouldn't won't. Say that. And then all of a sudden the SMGs just mow them down. It's absolute madness. The MQQ snips in for a little double kill just to find maximum value before eventually being traded. We do see the bomb go down, but Crazy have all the tools here for a successful retake. As long as they don't walk into a frag grenade or do anything too ridiculous, this should be pretty good for them now. That smoke to slow things down somewhat gains that kind of speed advantage, or more control advantage, I'd say, for ESPADA, at least for now. But once Dexter realizes where Sensei is, he'll have no choice but to play very aggressive there. That could end in his swift demise. And here we go, catches that second player, third and final. Sensei, where are thou? That's because given the current economy, getting away with the AWP is an absolute blessing in disguise. Will be the only gun in play that we can even remotely talk about. And I'd like to say, for the record now, surely these pistols should have no say anymore. This really is just a case of Sensei can have some magic, you can have some fun, and everyone else can just try and, you know, you're basically the toddler just pushing at your parents saying, can I have it? I want something, can I have it? You're bugging them, but you're not really annoying. That's kind of the situation here for Crazy in this one. These pistols just going to be nagging, looking to try and grab themselves a quick gun, but it should be nose all around the corner of the room. Let's see what the pistols can do. Maybe they'll catch us by surprise after all. Who knows? Love that nade and molly as well, just to slow them down even more. Lines up with the bomb being planted. Again, it's just about minimizing risk here, right? You don't want to give Crazy a way in if they could make it work. Of course, most importantly, this does begin to thin that gap. 11 to 12 now, 1 round the difference. And keep in mind, this isn't just a best of 1 result or anything like that. This is a full-on best of 3, and for ESPADA, there's a lot more on the line here, because if they can keep on playing this way, keep on edging out 1 or 2 rounds here and there, ultimately they're going to get to 16 first, which means it's their Series 2-0, and they survive. They do not get eliminated. Fairly brutal tournament format. Immediate elimination after 1 best of 1 and a best of 3 to follow. Get about 5 hours of Counter-Strike to prove yourself. If you don't show the skills, that's it. This is one to watch though, folks. The full buy back in play from CR4ZY. This is dismantled. And we may have ourselves a real game on our hands. Rid of that cross attempt. Comes through yet again. See the same thing all the time. You know what they often say though? Slow and steady. It's typically the one to win the race, not the folks that make the rash decisions. And that's the one thing that I do still really value about this CR4ZY side right now. Rather than getting aggressive and just fully sending it, trying to get information early on, they are being quite diligent about their CT side, and that's boded well for them so far. So I'm going to keep on giving them that benefit of the doubt for now. See if they can step up again and start finding some rounds here ultimately. The last few, not really gone their way, as ESPADA back in it once more. Finnegan and Sophic both chime in for a kill apiece. The advantage back into their hands as they will go for an immediate bomb plant. Psycho could be good for a trade kill, but no, executed in the back of the smoke. And I think that may just be enough to call for a save here. They need those 2 guns for future rounds. They have, bear in mind, no money in the bank here, just 1,500 bucks. They're going to have to save. Surely that's the pause call coming in. Chat I can hear as well. Of course, this will tie things up 12 for 12 as they try and hunt these rifles down and ensure nothing is carried forward. He'll be spotted. He's taken down. The only thing that will go with them will be the AWP. Tell you what, folks, if you could figure out what you're saying right now, if you're the CR4ZY coach, you're going to be the next big hit when it comes to tactical Counter-Strike, because there is a million different areas you could focus on right now as a coach in this team. You could look towards trying to patch up the issues you're facing towards Secret. You could try to create some more aggressive plays. There are so many things you could try here on Nuke to try and get this one over the line. It's going to be a really tough one here for CR4ZY's team to make those decisions and suggest accordingly. Just going to be taking their time. Of course, with it all tied up, it is pretty critical at this point that they get that stuff right. Oh, there we go. Just some news coming through. Not actually going to be a tactical pause after all. We can see that it is of a technical nature. So hopefully we can get that one wrapped up pretty soon. What an unfortunate time for it, though. And these are the things that happen in online Counter-Strike, though. No one can predict it, and it's no one's fault. It's just sometimes it happens. It's like any piece of technology, sometimes things just don't work as planned. We've all been there. I'm sure we've all got our stories. Still remember my favorite tech story of all time was standing behind a team in the grand final of a major event, a stadium event, and one of the big yearly events that you'll be familiar with. And there is a team within those events that has a particular energy drink made of powder that they like to drink. And when you put those things in the shakers, you shake them, and then you leave the lid down on tight, pretty much, 20, 30 minutes later, they'll just explode. So it can always be a good tech pause of, oh, I've got this thing all over my keyboard. That said, these pistols have got everywhere as well, it seems. A double kill picked up from Crazy early on as its aggression. That's the storyline of this round. ESPADA fully send it, just licking the stamp and throwing it at the A site. It looks like Amazon Prime have delivered same day. Thurgis becomes last man standing in a 1v3, 2 players low HP, so definitely doable. But it's going to be bloody tight, and looks like he's also accepted. But there isn't really much here for him. Let's find at least that single kill. He's going to give it a good go. He finds Patsy through the smoke. His last player is 8 HP. This could be doable. Right through he goes. Deemert delivers the point-blank headshot, but that was bloody close. What a frag through the smoke there. The game sense on this man to go for that shot. I'm assuming that the yellow on the top means that it is going to be a tactical timeout. That's just a quick observation from me, folks. We'll take that with a grain of salt. Hopefully that tech issue has been solved. Yeah, there we go. It looks like it was that tactical. I think they were planning on taking a tactical last round anyway, to be fair. I think that's how it started, and then they just, fixed 2 birds with 1 stone sort of thing. They're crazy. They need to patch up now the change of pace that ESPADA have brought to the table. ESPADA have gone from being a team that were very slow, very concise, and Crazy are able to control quite a lot. Even if they were losing the aim duels, they were able to sit themselves in control a fair bit. So ESPADA have just been playing very aggressive CS, especially that last round. They just fully threw it at the A site. So curious to see what Crazy's response will be here. But just keep in mind, it's 13-12. We're in map 2, and ESPADA have map 1 in the bag. So really critical. I can't overstate it enough that they get it together now. They understand what's going wrong and where they can ultimately improve. That from Sensei. Lines him up, knocks him down. It's like a great game of bowling. Not quite a strike, but a couple pins. Have to be careful here, though. Only 1 kill is not quite enough to seal the deal. It is just that a single frag, and quite easily go back and forth here as the trades come through on that site take. Just outside presence. The whole play here from ESPADA so far, and they can do a lot with this. They can go back towards Secret, or I imagine the more common play of the two here is they're going to come in from up and above. Use Heaven to their advantage. So up Patsy goes. Looks out to the side, peeks to the left. Doesn't see anyone just yet. Starts to spot them. From there, they peek it together. That's really nice. Got Finnegan joining him on that double peek. Now, Patsy's so low, you do want him just to be fully focused on holding this. You don't want him to die here. Giving up that Heaven control will be a crucial piece of this retake for Crazy. They're both actually going to come from it as well. So even more important that Patsy's able to deliver here. Good flashbang. He just lets rip, and unfortunately he falls. That leaves Finnegan. He has to do it all himself now. Little does he know, they're going to be coming from him at all angles. They peek him, and it's the AWP to shut him down. Wonderfully crafted retake there from Crazy. Has to be said. The AWP's in prime position as well. It looked like for a second they were both going to go through from the outer side of rafters and go into Heaven together. But I love the fact that Sensei dropped off and went back towards outside to cover door. Because of that exact scenario that just played out. He's expecting a second player to be playing Rotator either inside a hut or towards that close side event. So really nice to see. It does equalize things. It ties us up 13-13. It puts the money of ESPADA back into a testing point, because if they drop here, they'll have to fall by once more. Then they'll have nothing left, and you're pretty much saying to ESPADA you're going to have nothing to work with in the round that you'll be defending your series point against. So pretty important things right now in terms of the finances of it all, and a pretty poor start to the round as well here for ESPADA as they drop like flies on this bush. This aggressive play not working out at all. It's crazy. Just absolutely shut them down here. Only Dexter that remains in a 1 versus 3. Really see much opportunity here, to be honest. He's going to try and be just Mr. Patient, isn't he? Waiting for those peaks to come through. That's really the only way. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The only way Crazy loses this round is by overfacing and just weird situations like that. And that's all I can explain it as. It's just weird situations. Sensei has an AWP piercer. He's retaken now with a USP. That's actually a complete disaster. Oh, that's unfortunate though. I'm not sure why he doesn't stay back silo there. Instead, just tries to kind of like meander out the center of sight while reloading. That's a little mistake. And I'd imagine it's a mistake because he's just not expecting to be in this position. Probably didn't even expect to find the kill in Ven. That was all a little bit odd, but well, it's unfortunate. That could have been a sick clutch, but yeah, just a little mistake there. Just meandering out center sight while reloading means the USP gets the dry peak on him. And all he needed was a few shots in the chest to get the job done. From there, 14-13, we're starting to see those economic woes come through now. ESPADA forced to spend every final penny they have. They do only see 2750, about 1800 on Dexter, so they get a couple players with a little bit actually that get carried over. But for the most part, this is a critical buy round here for ESPADA. Lose this, you're starting to get close to that saving territory, and well, problem is, you lose this, and crazy, we're going to be on map point, so. Bit of a rock and a hard place style situation, to be honest. I can't help but wonder if the aggression from ESPADA will also come through again here. They've just completely sent it out A these last couple of rounds. The attempt at the wall bang, but unfortunately the execution of it not really ideal, and Sergey's already starting strong. Finds the head of Dima. This is where things start to get unfortunate. "45 seconds, they've not made any ground on the B side at all. The SMGs are lined up, ready to go. It's going to be an all-out brawl, and one where ESPADA are heavily unfavored. You even start to see those rotations coming through as well. This is where things just go from bad to worse. We're going to need to see perfect headshots come through and minimal losses here for the ESPADA side if they want to make this one stick. The flashes come through. Beautiful smoke. That will make Circus' life a little bit harder as the SMG swings. The bomb is dropped. 13 seconds remain. Psycho just wants to be a nuisance here, and that's all he's doing. He's doing it wonderfully. 2 kills, lock and key. Finally traded, but it's too little too late. Even with the bomb going down, it's not going to be enough. Crazy. They'll get themselves a map point and a chance to fight for map number 3. Interesting. If ESPADA lose this, it's going to be their cliche nuke storyline, which is 16-13. Pretty common result for them. No pause either. They're just going to completely go for it. I'll tell you what, though, one thing I will point out is actually their money's a lot better than I expected, and I suppose that's loss bonus kicking in as well. I actually thought they'd be in slightly rougher territory now in terms of their finances, but they're actually able to get good utility. Obviously, they're really lacking the AWPs. I think that's one thing they've not been able to get out is any of these AWPs at any point. But they've still been able to get 5 AKs, pretty close to full util, so I stand corrected. They've had the tools they needed to close this game. They just haven't been able to deliver. Crazy now shutting them down, making this one very, very clean. 2 kills for Sergis to push it over the line. He was an absolute beast on Nuke, it has to be said. I would be shocked if he's not our MVP here. We'll have to take a look at the stats to see what that looks like. 29-18 though. What a performance from Sergis. Let's see those stats. Yeah, I am not shocked to see that at all. Now, these stats, of course, they span the entire best of 3 to date so far. So you can see the combination of those maps, but 47 to 37 and 55 to 38 in comparison between CR4ZY and Dexter. You see both have very high ratings as well. You have to feel for Dexter there because he's played his heart and soul into the game. He's really tried to open up opportunities for his team, but sometimes it is a bit like Dexter versus the world, and he does need the team to kind of play with him a bit. So kind of a tough situation there for the ESPADA side, who also seemed a little bit lost in that second half. They just started to really rely on being able to open up door and rush out onto a site, or especially the B rushes and the ramp rushes. If your entire play is going to be built around the concept of rushing, you're going to struggle. That's always going to be the reality of the situation. So some work to be done there, I think, on Nuke for ESPADA. But that means only one thing, folks. This best of 3 is not over just yet. In fact, it's only just getting started. We have a third map for you, which is going to be coming right up after a very short commercial break. Do not go anywhere, because we'll be back in just 5 minutes' time. Welcome back, folks, to more Eden Arena Malta Vibes Week 8 action. We're here, of course, in the third and final map, our conclusion of this best of three in the lower bracket. Crazy versus ESPADA in Group C. Our elimination match, all to play for Week 8. You've got ESPADA, a team who've done exceptionally well in previous weeks, who are this time facing elimination once again. But they've been known to bounce back their fair share while in these positions. Let's see if they can do that again once we get into our third and final map here. Of course, taking a look at Group C, you can see the situation so far is that, well, our upper bracket game wrapped up 2-0. I think K2-3, I didn't catch the second game score, but the first one was about 16-5. So I have a feeling they just absolutely stomped fate into the lower bracket and got themselves a spot, of course, in that playoffs, joining the likes of Navi Jr., as well as a handful of other teams. Now, for us, really what we care about is going to be who is joining Fates. Right now, it is going to be a combination of either Crazy or ESPADA. We just don't know who it's going to be. That's why our third map is there. We'll use that as our decider to wrap up this best of three and ultimately see who will move forward and who will be sent packing. Now, always worth to remember that in Malta Vibes, we do our action on a weekly basis. So if it all ends here for these teams, they can just come back next week and play again in week 9. So all to play for. But of course, it is just for this week. Now, with that said, I wonder if we can take a look at some... I'm trying to think of actually what would be interesting to show you guys. Let's think. There we go, stats. I like the idea of stats. Let's take a look at some of the stats from that previous best of three. Of course, on our screens, we've got CR4ZY and Dexter. But also, just looking on a whole for a second, you can see that that second map was actually exceptionally close towards the tail end of it. We saw, of course, that 9-6 half, and then a 16-13 conclusion after a 7-7 second half as well. Really felt like ESPADA was starting to bring things back off the performance of Dexter. However, unfortunately, CR4ZY just was on fire, it seems, in that second map. A much stronger performance in the second than he had in the third. That's something that we hope to see repeated. I'm actually going to grab up his nuke-specific stats just to see the difference here. So, in nuke specifically, CR4ZY went 29-19, while in comparison on overpass, he was a much more bland 18-18, perfectly even. We're talking of nuke for him. He was involved in over 86% of all of the kills, assists, and other things. So definitely one of our high impact players. But with that all said and done, let's focus now on the task at hand. We're on train. A knife round is ensuing, and only one man can come out on top. And it looks like it will be Finnegan yet again. ESPADA do love a knife round. They spend hours and hours scrimming to get this stuff perfect. Of course, I'm definitely being sarcastic. I don't know any team that scrims knife rounds. But hey, they do win all their knife rounds, so there is that at least. Their track record is pretty good. They've won every knife round today, so... Well, you can't complain if you're ESPADA right now. You get to choose on every map where you start. I do still think we should be moving to Zeus rounds, though. That could always be good fun. With that said, no Zeus round for us today, but what we do get is some cheeky loot bet odds, of course, provided by our wonderful betting partner. 1.6 to 2.2. Clearly, the powers that be still think that ESPADA have got what it takes. Let's see if that holds true as we kick things off here. Our third and final map, folks. It all comes down to this. One team will be going home in Group C, and one team will be moving forward to face Fate later today, I believe. Let's see how that pans out as we dive into our first pistol here. Crazy on their T side. They're charging heavily towards that B side, and they're already out looking for that plant as well. Those USPs tap away. This is like watching someone try and find a needle in a haystack. I have a feeling this is like watching a producer play Counter-Strike. He rattles away shots, but can't hit a thing. It's an absolute disaster for the CT side there. We finally start to see some responses come through. Dexter, the man to get it done. He finds the double kill, and it's Finnegan to finish things off on Toxic as well. That is beautiful. He's CR4ZY's last man standing, and he's got to try and now hold on just with this upper position. And unlike a gun round, no Molotov or anything like that, so they have to take the fights, and it just doesn't quite work out.
Bomb has been defused. Counter-terrorists win.
Solid start for the ESPADA side. That's what you like to see, especially on CT side train. Let's see how they can build on from that. Finnegan, of course, with 3. Dexter with 2. no surprise, it's our powerhouse duo getting the job done here for ESPADA, making them earn their keep, that's for sure. I always love the HUD here. It always catches me by surprise. I'm thinking, have they just got into it with just knives? What is this? Of course, usually just pistols behind it. And that's what we see. For those wondering where that comes from, it's the HUD actually shows you the active weapon of that player. So you can see when they're switching between a knife and a pistol, doing a quick switch, you can see it does reflect that with the knife coming out. So it gives you an idea of what they're equipping. And it's actually pretty handy from a spectator point of view. With that said, the SMG is making some sweet, sweet money here as bomb plant denied. Easy frags come through and a single loss for the ESPADA side. That is best case scenario. I mean, what more could you want? This is the big one, though. This is the full buy, the first one of many for Crazy. AWP in play. Sensei. And 4 rifles to follow as well. And for the most part, full utility. Curious to see what they decide to do. Typically on train, you've got kind of teams that go two of different ways. They either immediately start doing something aggressive, which seems to be the strategy here, or you look at teams kind of default out, look for picks and stuff to feel out their opposition, kind of how they like to play on their CT side. But the strategy here from Crazy is, we're here to play some Counter-Strike, we're not here to wait around. They have fully got themselves out onto the site with at least just one player right now, Demcube, lurking in the shadows. Question is, what can he do here? He can hear them running on away, so he walks through Ivy. Now he basically is just an Ivy lurker. As the full rotations have come through towards the B site, he will catch Dexter, which is a highly valuable player to find. That buys all the attention from ESPADA to their rear. Now, they have to be conscious of the timing, or else that bomb, of course, has gone down towards B. So they can't spend about 5 years looking for that flanker. They need to get to the site itself. Now, blessing in disguise is Sergis is, well, they don't call him Mr. Movement, let's put it like that. Not having a great time with his attempt at dancing off the ladder. Instead means we are going to look at a quick defuse attempt. Nice little flying SMG, in fact, to wrap that one up, it seems. As Finnegan gets back on it. We just need to look at where Demi QQ is, and yeah, easy pickings at that point. The minute he makes any noise at all, Demi can just flick around and find him. And with the way the bomb's planted, it's not really ideal for him, unfortunately. Dem's just over on the ramp side of things, and he actually has no visibility to that side of the train where the bomb was planted. So a little bit unfortunate that it was in that position. With that all said and done, it's been the perfect start here from ESPADA. 3-0. Almost a crystal clean gun round as well. Only losing a couple in the process. Couldn't really ask for much better than a CT start, to be honest, on train. Nice little nade damage as well, as Ivy becomes the main point of discussion here. They walk into an AK, but nice little bit of movement there from Toxic actually means that the damage is pretty heavy here for the ESPADA side. The bomb will be dropped in exchange of Dexter having to hold the angle with the AWP. We'll call out the position of Psycho, but Finnegan loses life in the process. This makes it all completely onto Dexter to get this one done, which is ridiculous, to be honest. Thankfully, they don't realise where he is. He does get control of the bomb once again, spots the second player, and Dexter does as he does, doesn't he? Of course, the man never misses. The beast from the east, Dexter. 8-2 right now. What an opening performance from him. Four to 0 as well, so really just keeping akin to that messaging of the perfect start that we talked about just in that previous round. They can find the gun round here as well. Things just get even better for them, doesn't it? That was close, though. There were definitely a few mistakes made there, so can't help but feel like there is going to be a gun round going the way of Crazy pretty soon. A lovely opening duel, in fact, there. Just unfortunate timing, but able to take advantage of that to get a pick towards the B site. That does call 2 rotations, and if not a 3rd rotation in. Nadima is doing the work on the push. She's found both kills on the exit there. The flash hasn't done much either, but it does mean they get the frag onto a Patsy at least. Steamer still looking to do more damage, but most importantly, that bomb is under lock and key from Dexter now. That makes things really quite interesting here. They've got a minute to work with to try and get it. Sophic will ideally either go for the full flank in team main, or alternatively, will drop in through pot. Looks like he's going to go for the team main flank. 45 seconds. I'd actually love it if Dexter just kind of just purely focused on holding this bomb here and accepted the risk that he might get flanked from Ivy. The upside is they don't know he's there right now, so if he can just hold that bomb, it's huge. That's a beautiful pick to find as well. Long range, takes down Sergis. There the peak comes in to grab the bomb. Dexter's there, ready and waiting. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. 25 seconds to go. The bomb out of position. This is just perfect for ESPADA. There's nothing sense they can do here. He's going to try and have a crack at the kills, but he's got 10 seconds to basically try and just make it happen. It's impossible. The minute he runs backwards to get to the site, Sophic can peek. And you're basically doing the age-old trick in Counter-Strike, which is, hey, if you want to kill me, you've got to choose one of the 2 ways to do it. You can either take the shot and lose the round because you're going to be shooting me while you're running, or you can stop moving and lose the round based on time and hope you land the shot. It's an impossible predicament to put a player into in a 1 versus 1. He'll always have to keep going for that bomb because he's already started moving as well. It's not like he can just stop, turn around, and shoot you. You have the advantage there every day of the week. He'll be dead before you even have a chance. Just a really rough position to be in. But it does mean 5-0. Really good stuff here from the CT side. I wonder if Crazy tried to stick with the aggression that they've opted for, or if we start to see them perhaps try to change things up, go for a bit more of a patient-based play, maybe set up an execute here towards B. You've got the smokes and flashes for it. You've got the Kevlar and pistols. It's a good combination, especially when you know there's going to be auto play in B as well. Molotov far from ideal. It does make it pretty costly with the damage taken. And frag found as well. Sophic up and above. Going to try and be a real nuisance. They do at least snag 1 rifle for their troubles, but they then can't cross that orb just being an absolute turret for them. Sergis, though, fully blind. The man still gets headshots for the Tech 9. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. Who needs a flashbang? Sergis just ignores it and shoots you in the head anyway. Six to 0. Well then. This might be a little bit quicker than we expected, folks, if we don't start to see something from Crazy soon. ESPADA clearly wanting to make sure they get out of Group C. Of course, taking the harder route, having to fight from that lower bracket, but they can still get it done. It all starts with winning this best of 3, and winning it decisively would be a big confidence boost for them. Once again, and Crazy just looking to be very patient in their approach here. Not wanting to make too many rash decisions, and it works out well. They send Psycho flying out ramp, and he gets 2 for his troubles. In exchange for the 1 found by ESPADA. A great Molotov as well, but unfortunately, that's where the trades start to fall through. And it's not only going to be 1, there'll be a chance at a second as well. And you see just how on the ball ESPADA are being in terms of the potential flanks too, not taking any risks at all here. And should have spotted Patsy. That's going to be a good kill to find. There's both the advantage back in favor of Crazy here. With the flash fully blind, though, that should be a trade frag, but not going to happen. They let him recover and repeak. That's going to be a crucial mistake that ultimately hands the keys back over to Crazy here as they lock up, take the round. It all comes back to a great flashbang that they don't act on. It's really unfortunate. There you go, folks. Take a look at our partners Hellcase. A great part of what helps make this event possible. You can see the codes on your screen, such as Malta V15, and gives you extra little bonuses for all your participation and engagement over on Hellcase. So do get involved, and make sure if you do get involved on social media as well. All those profiles can be found below the stream for our various different partners, as well as our own production channels as well. So do give us a tweet if you are getting involved with things like Hellcase, and it'd be great to get an idea of what you guys are up to nowadays. Of course, pretty lengthy event. We've had many weeks of play so far, and one thing that I've heard from the wider team who have been doing this has been really cool to see what you guys, the fans at home, have been thinking about Malta vibes and kind of your thoughts as you see different teams progress through the event and those storylines begin to build up. And especially during these difficult times, it's great to get your guys' kind of point of view on those storylines to get you more involved in the broadcast. And with that said, back to the task at hand. 6-1, 50 seconds on the clock. Already a kill in favour for Crazy. You can't help but think, maybe, just maybe, they found the straw that broke the camel's back. And they're going to start finding some rounds here on their T side. Or is it just one big fluke? That is the question. I'm going to get an answer in just 30 seconds time. The Deagle comes in from behind. Dima unable to make it stick. We do see an AK on the site though. That'll be a kill that Patsy can find. Only 5 seconds left. They still have yet to deny the bomb plant, but they did get the bomb planter off the plant, actually. Forcing him to go for the frag instead. That could be a little bit interesting. Now, it still hasn't gone down. Sophic knows what he could try and do, but unfortunately does let them get away with it in the end. Now, he's stuck in a really hard position here because it's unlikely that the planter will go anywhere else apart from either connector, at which point he'll be spotted, or to potentially push up closer to E-Box as well. So, really tough one. Obviously playing very much in a kind of CQB angle with the AWP is never ideal. So not able to save it. And that does have a pretty big impact on the economy of this CT side. Now, no weapons saved means no weapons in the round. They'll have to do a full eco. And accept that Crazy have found their foot in on their T side. 2 rounds locking key, of course, and a third looking likely. For ESPADA now, it really is just about maximising what they can do on their CT side. They had a great start, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, they've lost the wind in their sails. They still actually seem to be doing a fair bit of damage, which is always good. One downside of the financial situation of ESPADA right now, though, is that, unfortunately for them, they don't have enough money in the bank to be able to go for an AWP, so they've had to go for 5 rifles instead. Now, I say this is a downside because we have seen some pretty big power moments from that AWP. However, with Crazy getting so aggressive, I can't help but feel like 5 rifles may actually be better suited towards them now, because you can just get a little bit more down and dirty with the rifle rather than being left in a kind of an uncomfortable CQB position with an AWP where you're basically going for quick scopes if it's Call of Duty, which is not really the play for a lot of AWPers. There are some AWPers who are the best in the world at that style, but that also is why they're the best in the world. When you're looking kind of closer to this tier of Counter-Strike, things get a little bit messy when it gets that close. So definitely preference actually seeing the 5 rifles here for that. Looks like Dexter just inherits Sensei's AWP though, so that's smart grab. And heck, on train, the value of having an AWP most of the time, especially on the CT side, is pretty big. It's just, it is tough if you've got a team like Crazy who are willing to just send it out towards the B site. Talking of that, there's the smoke. There's the first sign to ESPADA that it's going to be a B hit. Now, we don't know if they're even going to commit to this. There's no reason right now why Crazy even remotely have to actually commit to this B play, but it's looking like they will. The smoked mollies are all in play as well. That AWP is now positioned to catch them on the cross. So let's see what can be done. Sophic in place to do some damage, but unfortunately will be immediately punished. What we need to focus our attention to now is going to be the AWP. Look at that. The AWP comes true. Dexter takes down MQQ with a nasty shot as he tries to cross, and that will ultimately seal the deal. I have to eat my words in that one. I knock on the fact that they don't have an AWP, think it is good. They grab it, and it ends up being the thing that wins them the round. Not bad at all. Seven to 3. If they can break them here, they may well have just saved themselves their half. And what I mean by that is not saved it in the sense that they were going to do poorly without it, but they started off so strong that we thought this could be very one-sided. They could be playing for a 12-3 here, if they, 11-4 if they're careful. Started to look like that was going to fall away from them here. If they can grab this buy round, they're back on charts to at least get guaranteed 10, I think, on their CT side, which is wonderful. So where they want to be. Patsy going to try and do some damage. He finds one through the smoke, but couldn't quite seal the rest of those kills. This is where Demon then comes into play, though. Just going to go flying on through. Finds one yet again. This is just a battle of trading at this point for ESPADA, but unfortunately, they've come out behind. Can't help but feel like sending it through all of those smokes might not have been the idea in the world. What's the strategy going to be here from Finnegan? Good play to have in this situation. Made many of these clutches work. Trying to get the longer range frag. That doesn't come true, and I think the minute that happens, he just has to accept, okay, I'm saving now. No time to force that kill and hunt down the second player. Better off just saving the M4 and making sure they try and play towards 11-4 rather than losing everything here, having no gun to work with in this round, and basically just sending a bunch of USPs into the slaughterhouse. Let's be honest. Realistically, this is going to be a very, very tough round for them to win anyway on the CT side, but I'd rather have a rifle with a kit and some Kevlar and maybe a couple upgraded pistols than having just a bunch of USPs and upgraded P250s. That's for sure. Aggression already coming through now, but leads to absolutely nothing. That is heartbreaking. Like the idea, but the execution of it just doesn't quite pan out today. Patsy becomes last man standing. It's a completely different site. Maybe, just maybe, there's an objective here to grab a gun or something, but more than likely the best decision for him is just to try and do some damage and be done with it. I wonder if he will better get an exit kill or two. He's walking right towards them. It's going to be almost a matter of time. He doesn't want to be super long range with just a deagle. So he can go for a 1D, but it's a pretty tough one to land. Yeah, the minute he fires a shot, you see how quickly all of the crazy side just back away and say, yep, we don't want any of that. No, thank you. Don't even want to give him the ability to do anything. They know, yep, save with just a deagle, mate. Go on. Think of the value of that. Now, he can be smart and go and grab the M4. That would be a good decision, but that's why the AWP is there, to try and kind of scare him away from doing that. In fact, he's gone up there. I think he's grabbed it and threw it down. Has he actually done that? I don't know whether they threw it when they got the kill originally, or if the AWP player went up, grabbed it, and threw it down pop dog. Either way, that's incredibly smart, and I absolutely love it. Oh, look at that from Dexter just deciding, you know what? Taking the fight to the sky. Gets up atop blue train and just peeks straight into Team A. It works wonderfully. The flash leaves Patsy blind for a second, but not long before he can see what's coming his way. Unfortunately, he does lose the duel, much like his teammate Upper as well. But it's the AWP that fills in the blanks yet again. Dexter just carrying his team back fully on at this point. Another triple kill for him in that round. 16-7. Putting the AWP to real good use. 8-5 now. But are still looking to try and make this perfect half so far. Ideally 10-5. We do see a Molotov kill come through yet again. That's what I love to see today. That's the third one I've seen today now. It's just Flames licking away at someone and managing somehow to snag a kill. Typically aided by either some stray bullets or a frag grenade on top. The ESPADA really do start to pull this one back. It went from being a mad disadvantage early on to now we're at a 4-on-2. Scratch the record back. It will be a 2-on-2 now as the AWP strikes yet again, this time favouring the T side. As they do have a lot of time to work with. The saving grace will be Dima that comes in from behind. Not only does he grab the key player, but he also grabs the bomb as well. That leaves Toxic a player who's, I wouldn't say he's been underperforming, but he's definitely on the quieter side of things. Not really a player you would expect to be in those clutch scenarios either, so ends up becoming just easy pickings. It is going to be 9-5 favouring ESPADA. Very interesting attack pause. And just to share a little note for you guys who are maybe not familiar with this, I know it's a very a new HUD, is that the yellow kind of color that you see on the top side where the round timers are, when that is yellow and you see the arrow to the right or to the left of it, what that is telling you guys at home is that that is a tactical pause, and then the arrow represents the team who are taking that pause. So in that scenario, what we just saw was Crazy decided to take their tactical pause. Their first of total of 4, which they can use at any point throughout this map. And they get 4 total for every map in the best of 3. They're 30 seconds long, and they're just a quick pause you can use to basically just chat as a team, chat to your coach, make sure everyone's on the same page, and they can use that to hopefully help you start converting some rounds. This is it, though. Let's see if that pause has done something. Crazy could really do with getting 6 here. Sets them up nicely if they can make a pistol round work their way as well. Looks like we are going to see a little bit more reliance on upper this time around, which usually plays nicely into the hands of Dexter, but he doesn't seem to be in position ready to strike here. The rifles are going to try and fill in the blanks, and they've done well so far. Because Dexter starting to let it rip as well. One will go down. Ultimately, it's going to be 3-on-2 as the pistols and the rifles continue to strike again. What a glorious nade. MQQ, you should be proud of yourself after that one. Topic has no idea what to expect either, meaning that is an easy frag to find. What a great way to close it out. A lovely frag grenade, has to be said, across the entire bomb site, right down to back train, just to finish off Dexter, removing the key component to that retake. That is what you like to see. What you also like to see is 18-8. That is... What a performance from Dexter. I'd love to see at some point, we'll have to jump into it when we're in a kind of an eco round or something a little bit less critical, but I'd love to see what Dexter's total series stats look like, because, I mean, just, geez, that guy is going to be padding the scoreboard right now, that's for sure. That said, let's see if he can deliver in the pistol round. Last time he stepped up with a Glock, we've seen him do a triple kill with headshots with the USP. Maybe we'll see something a little special here, who knows? Well, that's a good start. Both players towards Ivy, just going to get the ink to gush on towards Sergey, but now to 19 HP as Dima will push up to finish him off. I do love this pistol and train. It's basically the crunch in from Team Main and Ivy. Very hard to handle the CT side. As you can see from Denkyuku's perspective, you're actually left flicking kind of a bit here, there, and everywhere. You have to look towards Ivy, you have to look towards Team Main. It's because of the way the tools are taken. You're isolating the entire middle portion of the map, giving them no cover from any angle. It really is quite a strong key pistol. That, on the other hand, is huge, though. Toxic finding both headshots on the planters there. Leaves himself at a 1 versus 1. Bomb picked up. We are going to see the full sprint go towards B. It's Finnegan to try and make this one stick, and he's planning open for connector. Question is, where does he want to head after the fact? He's running, making a lot of noise, so Toxic knows where he's going to be. It's going to be a case of hoping that USP connects. Now, Toxic doesn't know much apart from he's going to be over towards this side of the map, so surely can hear him running around as well now. Oh, Finnegan, you do what I think you're doing. You're just running the clock down. Oh, yeah, that is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. I say that's horrible because that basically makes the round unwinnable, which is also incredibly smart. I just feel really bad for Toxic in that scenario because he has done so well to get it to that point, and then he's just thinking, just face me. Like, just please, just face me. Let me have the chance to win this duel. And instead, that is just a textbook response from Finnegan. Make all this noise to pull him in back towards backside trains. Sneak your way through into CT. Make a lot of noise in the entrance to CT. You basically got attached to a fishing rod, and you're just pulling him further and further away from where the bomb's been planted, making an unwinnable round, and then you conclude it all by pulling him into a headshot angle at point-blank range, where the Glock will win every day of the week. It's beautiful play, don't get me wrong, but I feel so bad for Toxic in that scenario. SMGs, rifles and whatnot in play now for ESPADA in comparison to pistols and a scout for Sensei. See what they can make of this. They're going to be looking to hold on to that B site ideally, but the smokes will come out in force, and there's going to be one player up close and personal and a scout up and above to try and do the work on the defense. And unfortunately, those pistols don't really achieve much up close. We do see a nice flank come in from Psycho. And with the scout finding a kill as well, this could be doable. No one's checking for Psycho either. He can find a double kill here if he's careful. Finds the first, looks for the second, unable to secure that thanks to a well-placed smoke grenade. Just saving the day. With the rotation coming through, I think Psycho might have lost his chance. That is unfortunate. He's got himself into a prime position there to be a key player. Without that smoke, I think he's almost guaranteed a double kill, but the problem is with the amount of bullets he has left in the chamber to transfer for that second frag, he needs to hit headshot straight away. And with the smoke down, it just obfuscates his vision enough to not be able to know exactly where that head was, even if the player hasn't moved, which he hadn't. So he just took a bit of a shot in the dark, and he was very close, but just not quite close enough. Not the headshot, and that's what he needed. He needed that instant damage. Fortunately, that puts us here, 11-6. Lots of pistols. Nothing else in play here for Crazy, which means realistically we're looking at 12-6. And we are getting closer and closer to ESPADA surviving the elimination best of 3 and moving on forwards in Group C. Malta vibes. Dexter does love a smoke kill, doesn't he? Absolute criminal. Let's see if Crazy's got anything left in the tank. Can they hold on here and give us a best of 3? Worth cheering on. Of course, not much more needed now for ESPADA to get this over the line. Just looking for 16, of course, and they're on 12. When against this buy, you're pretty much looking at 14. There's only 2, at best 3 buys left on this Crazy side. Sounds like a lot, but trust me, it really isn't. It can disappear very quickly, especially when you're opening jewels like we've just seen are not quite connecting. It takes a shoulder peeking ramp and just avoiding a headshot from the rifle there. It's just a matter of patience now. ESPADA setting up a course for the full execute. Toxic just needs to bide his time. Flash is thrown and now look for the perfect opportunity. He's dropped the sight. I love the position here. He has to be able to do something with it now. First kill, lock and key. Immediately traded. That's okay. What's not going to work out for them if Dima is able to run Ruckus, getting a double kill every day of the week. That's going to be a real problem. As with the bomb down and Dima in prime position, that's a 4v3 that's going to be very hard for them to dig themselves out of, as ESPADA are stuck in those trenches. You can see they basically put 4 walls around that bomb. You could take one down with ease by pushing up towards Soptic. That's great, but then you've got the attention of all 3 others. Dexter, you absolute cruel. What just... I don't even know how to speak English at that point when you see that. I mean, not just one... Is it just a frag? He is literally shooting collaterals at this point to take rounds. I mean... I don't know what else there is to say.
Terrorists win.
That is ridiculous. 24-10. Maybe we should get our partner Loot Bet involved and just start taking bets on Dexter dropping 30 every game. Maybe that should be a new part of the show. This guy's absolutely insane, isn't he? Might have to coin the term Beast from the East for him. Probably stealing that from somewhere. I can't remember where, but I think it's fitting. Crazy at this point. Desperate to try and hold on here, but 36, this is looking exclusively more and more one-sided. Dexter again, early opening duel. Dima finds Psycho, which is just easy pickings. Finally something lands here for the CT side, but it's one shot in a sea of many missed opportunities. We do see DMQ trying his very best here to hang on. He's done pretty good work so far. And a nice try as well, but just not meant to be. 14-6 now, folks. Right on the cusp of this one being locked in for ESPADA. Crazy. Really only have one big opportunity now to go for a full buy, and well, this is it. This is their final stand. Their next round will be, let's see. Yeah, pretty much a handful of SMGs and pistols and whatnot. It's going to be very rough. So this is their last chance to have the AWP and the 4 rifles and whatnot. Let's see if they've got any life left in the old tank. Something tells me not the case. It really hasn't been a very close affair in the second half, unfortunately. You look towards the timeline of events, what you'll see is a 5-round streak for the T side in the second half so far. Been absolutely flawless. And they did this in the first half too on their CT side as well. They took 6 rounds back to back on their CT side before we finally start to see a response come through. So crazy, just not having the greatest of times on train, that's for sure. This one looking a little bit better. They did find a kill early on towards Patsy, some good damage done, and most importantly, ESPADA haven't found themselves cleanly out on any specific site. But just to say that, Dima chimes in. He finds Toxic. From there, you're starting to look towards the B site being an option with no one there to defend it, and Dexter ripping through them, just hot swapping between an AWP and a rifle. You just can't help but feel like this one is done. It just seems like there is nothing left here at all for this crazy team. Sensei and Psycho, the only 2 physically standing. That's a good shot through the gap, and smart game sense as well from Sensei to be aware of Dexter's position there, but still, it's a 2v2 with a bomb down on the B site. They've got to get a move on if they want to even think about retaking this. I like the flashbang. Stopping, of course, close on the site. It's going to be a good one to force him out. You see him just take the duel, wait for the push. Actually loses it out there. He's Finnegan up and above, but he's got a molly in hand, and he's just going to throw that immediately just to try and slow them down. Nice from Sensei. Just gets the shot through in the nick of time. If he's even a second, half a second too late there, Psycho so low that that becomes a lost round. So really critical that Sensei lands that shot immediately. And he does so. He delivers. So that will keep Crazy in the game for just a little bit longer. If we're being realistic, I think saying how much longer is going to be the more kind of sensible question to ask. One round, one clutch is not a view into what a team can do. And on Train right now, what we have seen is not a great CT side so far. That's the first round they found in five rounds total. So, yeah, pretty poor, all things considered, from Crazy. Need to see a full gun round really work out for them that isn't going to be just a hero clutch in a final moment. Look at the strategy again here from ESPADA is going to be the B site. It seems like they found something that works and they just want to keep abusing it at this point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose. You can see the smoke starting to come through. They get one out towards both sides of Train. Cross white as well, and through upper. And the push just takes hold. And there's just no response from Crazy. And good damage done, but cumulatively they've done under 100 HP worth of total damage in exchange for both players dying there. You can't get much more value if you're ESPADA. And the best thing for ESPADA is you know your opponent now has to save. They don't want to be on pistols and basically nothing in the next round, which will be series point. They have to save. So now they've given themselves a load of series points to play with. So they're going to be exceptionally happy with that one. Course, just a little bit of time to wait for that bomb to blow up, but nothing really too crazy. They can't afford to hunt here, obviously, so both teams are kind of almost trying to avoid each other. And this is where things get real interesting now for Crazy. Series point, of course, on a Group C elimination match. They're right on the cusp of being sent packing. What can they do here to hang on? In terms of weaponry and what they can purchase, not a huge amount, but obviously, again, they saved. So the objective is to really rely on those players that saved. And they were able to scavenge up some Famasis and whatnot as well. So it's not all bad. I think utility is pretty good as well. So there'll be no arguments that they don't have the tools to get this done. But even so, from what we've seen, they just don't have the expertise on Train to get this one over the line. Is the A side already find itself under pressure, particularly towards Pop Dog and Team Main. Psycho towards E-Box. Going to look and try and make something work, but looks like a little bit like a lost lamb. Doesn't really know where to look or what to find. The team are already out about causing a problem. He really needs to be a little bit more on the ball, unfortunately. And there's Toxic, though. Double kill with the Famis. The trade does come back through. Sophic spotting the AWP above. That will open up the B players. He's just going to quick and easily go for the plant and then just back away. I love that. Knows exactly where the AWP is as well, so knows where not to face. Calls for the flash and then takes the swing. Not so sure I'm keen on swinging that wide in towards Oil, but nonetheless, at least they can confirm where it is. They're going to push up. Doesn't... Ooh, just sees the leg connector. That's huge. He now knows there is someone lurking the backline to connector. They have to peek eventually. Just misses his shot at the final moment, though. Close to finding Sergis, but not quite going to be enough. So it will be another round that Crazy survive. Only just. They will survive. Coming down to the wire, though. That's what makes me concerned here. Starting to see Crazy be able to link a couple of rounds together, but it is still very tight for them. That's not an ideal position. Psycho just walks into the arms of Dima, just says, come to me. I'm here. I'm ready and waiting. Come to Papa. And it just continues to be the same thing, doesn't it? Second player now to fall. So walking into the crosshair of ESPADA. The A-site, this time being the focus point here. Slowly but surely, they just pick Crazy apart. Toxic, the first player again to find a kill here. Did a double kill the last round in quick succession. Same thing here with the same gun. The famous strong point for him. And since he does find yet another kill on Finnegan, that does even out the numbers, but he still wants none of it. Sensei last man standing. Not gonna happen. 16-8 will be the final scoreline. ESPADA come out on top in our Group C elimination match, and they move forward to play a best of 3 against Fate. That one is